All right, we are just going to go ahead and get started. This is the first iteration of the weekly Caravan Research webinar. And let me get my slide presentation up here and we'll have a look. Share my screen, share my entire screen. Let's get over here and look. Nope. Let's go. All right, great, fantastic. So I'm in charge of research at Caravan, and that means a lot of reading. Everyone knows there's just a fire hose of AI content, and I absorb a lot of it, and my job is to read more than most people, try to figure out what's the high signal stuff that's really important that people should pay attention to, and try to filter out all the noise. And one of the things that has bubbled up for the team at Caravan over the last few weeks has been OTEL logging, and you might be hearing about this for the first time. And so I want to walk everybody through why it matters, a little bit about how to do it. I'm certainly going to pull my screen up in a little bit and show you some things. And so it might be good to actually kick off one of these processes that we can come back to later. I'm going to go ahead and open up Claude Cowork. I've created a set of skills in here that use this logging data, and I have one called a cost optimizer, and we're just going to get this running so that we can come back to it in a little bit. I also have a skill in here to do data analysis. That's one of the Anthropic knowledge work plugin skills, and I'm just going to say help me look at the last 7 days. All right. Okay, so we're going to get that started. I think it might ask me a few questions here, so let me make sure it doesn't get stuck, and then we can cut it loose, and then we can go look at the slide deck, and I can explain to you what is happening. Okay. Welcome to the challenge of AI demos. Now that they are thinking models and they take a little while to work on things. Okay, so it's going to ask me a few questions. We'll tell it. Let's look at the whole Caravan team. Oh, I see. It's creating a little menu of things for me to choose from. Oh, this is nice, isn't it? It's building this whole little experience. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Are we done yet? All right, so this is a tool that I made to help us manage costs. So let's see here. I want to look at the whole team. I want to look across all of these different tools we use. Our data lives in Honeycomb. I don't have anything to share. What counts as meaningful input? Let's just say customer deliverables or internal reports. What's the decision this analysis should drive? Where should we spend more and where should we spend less? Oh, I guess I don't have an option. Let's see. Well, fine. If that's the case, let's just do a general read. We will get that started, and let's come back to the deck. All right, cool. So the idea behind OTEL logging is you can't manage what you don't measure. And for most organizations, you're not really measuring what's going on in your AI systems. So you've bought ChatGPT or Code or one of these other AI tools for lots of people in the organization. And then you're asking yourself, how's it going? And you're getting stories from people, or you're seeing things people make. You're certainly getting a bill every month from the company. You have some anxiety, all right, around what's happening. So the word you're going to hear today is telemetry, which means that as people are using AI tools, that we are logging the things that are happening, and that makes the work visible, right? So that we can see what people are doing, we can improve the work that's happening, we can govern it, and importantly, we can start to trust what is going on with AI in our organization. All right. Telemetry is a learning loop. okay? Meaning people are doing things with AI tools. We can see what people are doing, and then we can use that to create a healthy feedback loop in the organization. The shift this enables is going from this sort of vague enthusiasm about AI, like, are people trying it? We think it's working, right? And you're looking at just basic things like, who have we bought? How many licenses do we have? I saw a cool demo last week, right? All of this. The move here is toward AI management, where we are more certain around where AI is creating value for us, okay? You can think of a similar discipline that arose over the last 500 years, which was finance, right? There was a point in time, right, where we didn't do double entry bookkeeping. We didn't really know how to do accounting, okay? And we created new data around that, and it helped us manage our financial picture much better. You can go to school now, and you can learn how to do accounting, you can learn how to do finance, and a lot of it is built off that data stream. And what I want you to reflect on today as we go through this is that there is a new data stream that we didn't really have even 12 months ago, and that this data stream enables us to now understand what's going on with AI, and there's going to be this whole discipline, I think, Robert Hill calls it intelligence management, where we have this scarce resource, which is AI tokens, and we want to spend as much as we can get away with, but we don't want to waste our AI usage. And so we're going to be able to use this data to be more efficient, all right? And so where you can start, and this is not OTEL logging, I'm showing you Claude here, without setting anything up. If you're the administrator for Claude, you go online, you can look at an analytics session, and it shows you some basic things, right? How many people are using the tool, right? What's your utilization? How many sessions? If I scroll down on the screen, you'd see here, it's going to show me who's spending what, okay? So it's some very high-level numbers. I do think that utilization number that you see on the screenshot there is really important. We have 4 partners, and so we have 4 WAUs, or weekly active users. There are 2 other, I say people, there are 2 other users in our system, and those are actually AI agents, and they just have not been active in Claude over this time period. All right, so that's basic analytics. I can show you what that looks like in a minute when I flip over to demo. But what we want to talk about today is this OTEL logging. Okay, so this is my Rotel joke. I don't know if Rotel dip is something that is well known across the entire country, but it's sort of a staple in the Southeast. So OTEL logging, what is it? I mean, what you need to know, we're going to get into the details, but this is not a Anthropic thing or an OpenAI thing. OTEL is, I say OTEL like Rotel now, I guess that's the right way to do it. It is an open source specification about how to generally log software events, and I think it's going to become the standard for how we log what AI agents and other AI tools are doing. And so whether you're using Claude, anything from OpenAI, the Gemini stuff, you could sort of go down the line, okay? The idea is that any AI tool you use should be able to use this standard protocol that can then basically hoover up all this data and present it back to you, okay? So one takeaway from the call today is if you're an administrator in an organization, this is something you can turn on today. And you may not use it right away, okay? But you can't retroactively turn on logging, right? So if you didn't have logging running for the last 3 months, you just don't know what happened the last 3 months, okay? So there's some urgency now that you know this exists to go ahead and turn it on. And we'll look at how to do that. All right. OTEL does a lot, and you can think about it as just a very rich record of what's happening. Okay, it's not just about looking at who spent what where, we're actually recording much more, right? So we're certainly recording who's doing what. We can see each conversation that they've had. Which models did they use? Did they call certain tools? We can see people's prompts and the responses they got, okay? And of course, we can see the cost in dollars and tokens. You can see things like errors in the system, okay? You can imagine a long conversation that ends up like the person not getting the thing they want. Some of that kind of stuff is logged, okay? So this is a whole lot more than just this binary thing of did this person use it this week or not. There's a lot going on here, all right? To use OTEL, OTEL is the standard, okay? You need to pick a platform where that OTEL logging data is going to land. We tried a few things at Caravan and we decided to use Honeycomb. All right, so Honeycomb has a free platform. There are opportunities to upgrade for various features, okay, but it's something you could just sign up for today and start using. And importantly, there are data streams now going from all of the different products that we use. So Claude Code goes in there, Claude Cowork goes in there, Codex goes in there, all right? Lots of different products all flow into one place, and that makes it really nice to see everything in one place, okay? One important note here is what does not flow in there, all right, is stuff that happens on the browser. So all of these tools here are the Claude desktop app, okay? They are the Codex app. So this works when people are using these desktop versions on their computer, which means if you're going to do this, you probably want to have a policy that says something like you shouldn't use the browser-based tools, which feels weird, but that means getting people into the Codex app, into the Claude desktop app, into the ChatGPT desktop app. I think that's supported. I would want to check, okay? But the idea is across all these different products, it flows into Honeycomb and then lets us ask questions across all of our AI tools. Right. So what kinds of questions can you ask? I think about this, remember my background before startups, before AI, before startups was data and analytics. So I try to think about what questions people want to ask about their AI logging, and it's for me it's really these 5 kind of buckets. So it's adoption, which we see we can already get some of that just out of the box, but to go a lot deeper, who's doing what, right? Like in our marketing department, who is using this to do SEO optimization on websites? You could ask a question like that and expect to get a good response. And of course there's cost, right? But not just an overall cost, right? When someone used AI to do an SEO audit of a website, how much did that cost, right? So you can actually start to put cost at a task level, which is very interesting. And you can also use these tools to analyze what is driving the cost to help teach your users about how to manage their cost better, okay? So depth, are people using plugins or skills or MCP servers that you have, right? Or are they just chatting with it, right? So if it's a broad toolbox, are your users using the full range of the tools? And again, that's a sort of a live training opportunity when you're able to see what people are doing. And then because you can get down to the prompt and response level, slop is a problem. It is easy to produce something that gets you to 80% that might not be A+ work. And so you can start to see what people are doing to get to 80%, but then also to 85, 90, 95, 100, right? And to understand if people are using these tools to produce quality outcomes, okay? And finally, I think this is the biggest one, okay, is risk. I think a lot of the freak out on the security side of the house is just not having visibility into what's happening. You know, there's a whole industry, like the whole cybersecurity industry right now is largely built around effective logging. So we can see what's going on. When a case comes up, we can look at the data and try to figure out what happened and how to resolve it. OTEL data for AI is this. And so you can go from a policy being a document that nobody reads to something that can be enforced because you can see the logs. So just as an example, right? Let's say you have a policy that someone should not be able to have AI automatically send an email on their behalf, right? Maybe it can create drafts, right? But it's never allowed to just send. So it would be trivial, right, to go look in the logs and see if someone had a tool call to send an email, right? You could find that right away. So I think OTEL logging is really important for security professionals. All right, it's going to take that big bundle of anxiety and make what's going on much more transparent. All right, so all of a sudden now we have a way to measure and enforce policy, which is a big deal. Okay. I've been asking this question in training for the last few weeks. How much of a person's salary should we allocate to tokens, right? So if someone's making $80,000 a year, basically how much should they be spending on AI? You get answers that are all over the place. No one knows what the right answer is, by the way. But the idea is if you have something that really is valuable, like if AI really makes somebody way more productive, then we want them to be using more AI. By the way, I'm not going to be shocked if the number we kind of end up on is about 100%. So if someone's making $80,000 a year, we might be spending $80,000. That person might be spending $80,000 on tokens. That's obviously not next week, but I think as we get into the second half of next year, we might start to see that level of usage. Okay, so I'm not suggesting you get up to that level right away, but the idea is AI is a powerful technology. We want people to be using it. So if we've given people this tool, we want them to get the full value out of it. Okay, so we want them spending more in a way, but we do not want them wasting that money. Okay, so how can we increase the spending, increase the value we're getting out of AI, but be visible about what people are doing, understand if we're actually getting good outcomes, right? That is a big question that people who are not doing logging are completely incapable of answering right now. You just have no way to know, okay? So that's a big unlock here. The reality is that these tools are going to be able to operate more and more autonomously. And if there's any chance that we're going to feel comfortable giving them the power to actually work more autonomously on our behalf, we're going to need to guarantee that what they're doing is observable. Okay? I don't think anyone is comfortable with the idea that an AI can start to do things that we cannot see. All right? And so logging really is the answer to that problem. Okay. So what I've built, okay, and what I am going to demo in a minute here is I just have built a AI Telemetry plugin, which I'm happy to share, and just a set of skills that are in there. And they range from a skill that helps you get this set up, right? There's a prompt coach in here, so you can imagine a person in your organization being able to see their own telemetry data and saying, how could I be better, right? This moves, for us as a training company, this is really interesting because you're moving from like this kind of every once in a while deep learning experience to being in a situation with AI where you're in this continuous feedback loop. All right, so that's interesting. There's a policy monitor, all right, where you could bring your policy to the table. Imagine being able to work with AI to build a policy and then to actually turn around and then see how well it's being followed or where the gaps are. And then of course there's a cost optimizer. I think this one's big. I mean, we have increasingly have customers who are spending $40,000 or $50,000 a month on tokens. And so I know it sounds strange, but in a way that's fantastic because they are potentially pulling a pretty big lever they have to do more as an organization. But they are starting to scratch their heads and say, are we spending that well? And so there's a piece on that. And then finally, you know, for organizations that feel like they have a good foundation in place, how ready are we to start giving these AI tools more autonomy? Okay. And organizations that can figure that out, not this week or next month, but like in the next 12 months, are going to be just in a completely different place from organizations where the AIs still need to be very actively babysat by humans. Okay. So autonomy doesn't mean no humans in the loop, right? It's a sliding scale. But if you go from no autonomy over here, and you can just move a little further in the direction of them being able to act autonomously, that's incredibly powerful. Okay, and so logging is going to be part of the unlock there. All right, logging doesn't build the guardrails, right? Logging doesn't build the policy, but it helps you to see what's actually happening. Okay. So that's the message for today. You can't coach, cost, or control what you can't see. And I believe most people aren't aware that the amount of stuff you can see is a lot, okay? But there is some work to do to get it set up, okay? So let me pause right there for a second. I'm gonna come back to the webinar, just see how everyone's doing. All right, I'm just going to put a question in the chat right now and just say any questions so far. Please feel free if something jumped up at you that caught your attention, you have a question about, please ask. It's my first time using this platform, so when I'm oversharing my screen, the questions aren't jumping out at me. So if it takes me a minute to get back to you, no worries, I will. All right. Okay, great. Let me go back to share mode. Let's come over here and see what Claude has done. Okay, so just to go back up here at the top, I'm in Claude Cowork. I asked it to use my cost optimizer skill. I also had it use this data skill, and I just said, let's look at the last 7 days together. It asked me a few questions, all right, and we ended up here, okay? Here's how much money we spent. Right? Here's the various products where that happened, Claude Code, Claude Cowork, right? Things that are worth your attention, okay? We use a lot of the largest, most expensive models, okay? So there's clearly an opportunity for us to right-size the models to the task that we're doing. And based on some other work I've done, over the past few days, I think the research shows me that I think we could probably save 40% on our bill if we were smarter about strategies to use Sonnet and Haiku instead of just Opus maxing all the time. Okay? Here's a big one, right? In the work that we are doing day to day, we are not invoking skills enough. Okay? So we have a bunch of installed skills, like, are we using our brand design skills? Are we using our AI telemetry skills? All right. So this is a big one for me, right? Would be to go sit down with our team, look at the skills they have, right? We believe in skill maxing, okay? And if you don't know what a skill is, that's sort of a whole other topic. But the 30-second version is a skill is a set of written instructions about how to do a task that drives a lot of consistency and quality in what we're doing. This AI telemetry exercise we're doing right now is a AI cost optimization skill, okay? And here we go, right? Here are the sessions, okay? Just a handful of sessions that racked up the entire bill, okay? So let's dive into this a little bit just to get you, remember you're in an AI conversation now, so you can kind of ask anything. Hey, in those 12 sessions that we did, which captured an enormous part of our bill, what sort of tasks were we working on? And I want you to break down each of them one at a time, all right? And give me some instructions on how we could have been more efficient in our use of AI during those sessions. Okay, great. And if you're not someone who dictates a lot, strong recommendation, that was Monologue, which is a dictation app that's made by the team at Every. I also use WhisperFlow on some of my other devices. Big fan, okay? And the little 30-second takeaway on that is more about the why, which is context is the most important thing that is missing for AI. And so the more context you can get out of your head and get onto the screen, the more capable you are with these tools. And you just simply talk 4 to 5 times faster than you type. So for people that are consistently dictating over long periods of time, you are way, way, way more capable than people that don't. I will say the one downside is my typing skills have degraded slightly. Just true story, you know, but that's what it is. So we're gonna get that running, okay? And while that's running, I wanna come back over here to Claude and just make sure you see what this looks like. So I'm just in Claude on the web. I'm not gonna do anything here, but this is where I have access to the analytics, okay? And if you're an administrator, you will see this, okay? You may not be an administrator, so you're not gonna see this stuff, but this is what I was showing. It's just very basic, right? How many people are using the tools every day? What types of tools within the tools are being used? So are we using, you see a lot of Google Calendar here, Google Workspace is like Google Drive, that kind of stuff, right? We use a lot of HubSpot, okay? So this just gives you a sense of what products are being used, how much money are we spending, okay? Maybe just look at the whole year, let's see, right? Okay, so again, so as mentioned, this is the out-of-the-box analytics. It's helpful, but it is very high level, okay? So you can get a general read on where the organization is. I do think this utilization number here at the top should be a sort of headline metric that people look at. I mean, at a basic level, if you've bought licenses for 100 people, how many people are just using it? I mean, it's a great first question, all right? But it doesn't give you the deeper look. So if you're an administrator, you can come into organization settings and you have, in Claude, you have, wow, you have like 5 products here now, all right? If I go to Cowork, there's this monitoring section, okay? We used Honeycomb here, like I said, and what's in here is the API key. So when I set up a Honeycomb account, I get the API key, I can come in here and fill out these fields, and then when people use Cowork, their data will get logged. Office agents right here, these are the add-ins for Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and Outlook. Okay, it uses the same settings from Cowork. When you set Cowork up, you can just hit copy settings and this gets done too. All right. I don't think there's any logging for Claude in Slack or for Claude in Chrome, but for Claude Code, there is logging, okay? And it's a little different. Manage settings, it's right here. I'm not gonna open it up because that file does list our API key in it, so I'm not gonna show you that. But there's just a little piece of code that you have to put in there, okay? This sounds intimidating, but remember in the plugin that I've created, which I'm happy to share with everyone on this call, there's a skill in there called OTEL setup, all right? And you could use that to help you get this set up. If you're using Claude, the page that you were looking for is monitoring, okay? I say this for Claude code, right? The Cowork and the Office Agent setup is much easier, okay? For Claude code, I'm going to scroll down so you see where this ends up. You're going to end up making something that looks a lot like this, all right? And you're going to take your API key and you're going to put it in here, okay? So in the organization settings, when you copy and paste that in, that's what turns on logging for Claude Code. When you turn that on, when your Claude Code users log in the next time, they're going to get a warning message that is meant to look a little scary, that basically says, hey, your data is being shipped to a third-party application through OTEL, okay? If they get that, that's a good sign. That means it's turned on, okay? But you need to let your users know that they're going to get a message like that, because their instinct is going to be to say no to that, okay? But that's something that needs to be accepted as part of using it, okay? If you're interested in this OTEL logging stuff, it is worth reading this monitoring page, okay? There's a lot in here about all of the different pieces, what goes into it, how does it work, okay? You do not have to read one word of this to get value from the tool, okay? But if you're going to be using this kind of stuff regularly, if you're going to be administering it, it is worth sitting down and learning about it. And that can be as easy as coming to the page, right? You know, and telling Claude, teach me about this. All right. So ask any questions you need to, have AI be your tutor here. All right, that kind of thing. All right. So that's how you get this set up in Claude. I will say getting this set up in Codex, there aren't as many buttons to click on. There's not a GUI for getting it set up. You need to sign into Codex either in the Codex app or in the terminal, right? And you can just tell it, right? I'd like to set up OTEL monitoring for Codex. I'm going to use Honeycomb, and it will walk you through it all, okay? This is probably one of my favorite parts of AI. You used to have to, you know, try and fail many times with unclear documentation, and now we can just tell AI what we want, and it can help us get it done. All right, which is pretty cool. Let's hop back over to Claude Cowork and see what's going on here. So remember, there were 12 sessions. Where are they? 12 sessions that were 72% of our bill for the last week. What was going on? And here they are, okay? Five of the 12 sessions were 3 different people on 3 different operating systems, all working on the training portal. All right. So we have a piece of software that we support that helps us run our business. Okay. And we don't have any engineers, but we do have Claude. All right. And so Claude is our engineer. And so we spent $500 last week on that engineer, so to speak, to do that work. That's pretty interesting. Some portion was people getting ready for training, so we built a lot of personalized custom curriculums for our clients. Now here, I'm getting called out with one right here where I sent out MPS surveys. We had a backlog, okay? We haven't been sending out feedback surveys, so we sent out feedback surveys to everyone who has ever taken any of our training. We did that over the last few days, and it's telling me that I probably could have saved a lot of money doing that, which is unsurprising. So that's kind of what this looks like. That is just the AI telemetry piece that's built for customization, but there's other pieces in here, right? You can use the policy monitor to help you write a policy and create some tools to help you enforce it. All right. I think Prompt Coach is really interesting, right? I don't think people are aware of how, I know people aren't aware of how differently other people use AI tools. You sort of just know the way you do it. You're not sitting and looking over people's shoulders, right? But an AI Prompt Coach will look at what you're doing and give you some very interesting insights into things you might be doing differently. Okay. So I'm happy to share that with the group. But that's kind of a brief, quick overlook of OTEL. I guess I could probably go look really quick in Honeycomb as well, just so you can get a sense of what this looks like. I mean, they put Claude code right here on the home page of their product. It is not a Claude code specific tool, but I just got to imagine that is what is driving an enormous amount of their business. So if you come back in here, when you set up logging, it automatically creates these data sets. So I can see, what data is coming from Claude Code, from Codex, from Cowork, on and on. All right. A question that should be on people's minds, I think, is this surveillance? You're getting all of this data down to the exact prompts people are typing in, the responses they're getting, okay? This is not the kind of thing where you are going to turn this on and give everyone in the organization access to what everybody else is doing. We do that at Caravan. There's 4 of us. We're all partners. We have a high trust culture. Like, we think that's the right way to operate, but that is not realistic in most organizational contexts, okay? There's going to be some work to do on the other end of this that's traditional data and analytics work, right? To make it so that people can see their logging data, but not everyone else's, and that managers can see their team's data, but not other teams' data, right? And that at some level in the organization, someone can see everything, okay? That is not baked in by default to these tools. Okay, that's something that needs to be sorted out afterwards. It's also worth saying, in the free tier of Honeycomb, the API actually can't really do any interesting querying. What's going on here in Claude Cowork, okay, is we are using the Honeycomb MCP server, okay? And the Honeycomb MCP server, there's no cost to use this, but it basically gives you the ability to get the data set, right? Get the data set columns. It can run queries. It can do a lot, okay? So if you're using the free version of Honeycomb, you're not going to use the Honeycomb API key to query Honeycomb. You're going to use the Honeycomb MCP server, okay? Which is here by default. I say by default. It's one of the connectors that's just available in Code and Cowork. In Codex, you're going to have to go through a little bit of work to try to figure out how to install it. All right. But again, you can ask Codex how to help you figure that out. All right. All right. Let me get back over here. We can stop all that sharing. Wonderful. Okay. So that's great. It's Friday afternoon. I'd scheduled this for an hour, but we're about 40 minutes in. And so I will open it up to any questions in the chat. And if anybody has any questions, I will answer them right here and now. They can be questions about OTEL or maybe just whatever's on your mind. But yeah, I'll give everybody a second. I'm an experienced meditator, so I'm happy to just sit here in silence with you as well. Oh yeah, okay, great. So a question did come in. Are there any other vendors for OTEL data in addition to Honeycomb? Yeah, there are a lot. And I tried 2 or 3 others, and I am not an engineer, okay? I mean, when you think about logging and this kind of stuff, it sounds a little engineer heavy. The other platforms that I got into, I'm sure I could have figured out how to use them. Like Grafana was the first thing I tried, actually, right? And there were just too many knobs to turn and things to figure out to make it work. because Grafana does a lot of other things very well. But I know Grafana is something that's used widely, okay, in the engineering world. So that may work out great for you. The reason I suggested Honeycomb, it's a more single-threaded kind of tool. Like, it doesn't do 100 things. It does this thing well. You sort of notice when you go to their website and like Claude code's sitting there right in the front, there's a nice MCP server that's easy to turn on. It's just the quickest path to, I'm not doing any logging, to let's get this turned on today and producing valuable stuff for us. So. All right. Amazing. All right, someone's got to go pick up the kids. I probably got to go get my kids too. What am I talking about? Okay, this has been fantastic. Thank you. This is the very first Caravan Research Webinar. How about this to end it? Okay. If we're going to keep doing this, I'm curious if everyone could just put in the chat really quick a topic that you're interested in, that's something that we might want to research. I'll give everybody 30 seconds. Oh, great. One more question that came up. Yeah, do you know if OTEL settings can be enforced basically via policy on people's local machines? Yes, right? That is one of the best ways to do it. Okay, if you're in an organization where there's a lot of control over the computers that are being used, you absolutely can enforce this policy at the machine level in a way that cannot be easily evaded. And that's great too, because you sort of press a button as an administrator and these settings get pushed down throughout the entire organization, and then you're good. You're ready to go, which is fantastic. So cool. All right, well, I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys for being here for version 1, and I will see you next week.